welcome back everyone. Now throughout this whole course we've talked a lot about soul agreements, soul contracts, and we've touched on a lot of different subjects. But this is really one of the most modern, if you will, soul agreements that we're really starting to see taking place around Mother Earth. A lot of people are really becoming much more conscious about the environment. Even the autumn industry is looking at how they can reduce the fumes that are coming from the cars. They're developing much greater ways to reduce them to almost nothing, which of course is a lot better, a lot healthier for us. So we can see those changes taking place, and it's great to see that. But we're also seeing things taking place in our supermarkets. I don't know whether it's the case in your country, but certainly in our country here in Holland, a lot more supermarkets are working with certainly meat, biological.
Yes.
They're not going for the mass farming anymore. In fact, there's a great outcry in several parts of Europe that those that are still doing the mass farming and jam-packed into a small space, that they just don't want that meat anymore, because that meat, it was unhealthy and it's making us unhealthy.
Yes, and because the animals are a part of us,
yes.
So we want that they have a happy life.
If it's at all possible, absolutely,
yes.
That they can wander around the fields, they can enjoy the sun, they can enjoy the weather, they can enjoy each other. Basically, if they're in that energy, their energy is going to be different, and if we consume that energy, then it's going to make a difference to us as well. So looking at that, that too is changing as we look around the world, and that's really, really positive. And if you look at something else as well that's going on, we're seeing a lot more now that fruit and vegetables are coming from ecological or biological specially placed areas that are not using pesticides anymore.
They're not manipulated.
They're not being manipulated anymore. And again, folks, this is extremely important, because if we look at our own state of being through, let's say, the last 50 years or so, if we look at the history of medical history, our own medical history in humanity, there is a great deal more sickness and diseases in the world. Where did those diseases come from, folks? It came from our food. It came from the manipulation. It came from the jam-packed, no joy, no pleasure in life of the animals.
The water.
It came from the water, absolutely, but it also came from the mass production of the vegetables, the fruit, the plants that we eat. It was all kind of done with an energy, yeah, I've got to go do that today, and then the farmers went out and they were doing it because they had to do it, because they had the contracts, because they had to survive. Now you see, this energy is also changing in our fruit and vegetables now, because there are more and more biological, ecological places springing up all around the world. And a beautiful example, one I know you love very much, I do too, Russia. No, phew, goodness gracious, there are a good few people around the world when we mention Russia, if they go back about 20 to 30 years, they think, oh, the Cold War and all of that sort of stuff. Folks, that's living in the past. Because at this moment in time, Russia is absolutely a beautiful example of how it is changing.
Oh yes, I've got goosebumps.
And there is a really, really beautiful being there in Russia, in the taiga forests. She lives by nature. She has nothing else, requirements, no other requirements, other than that what nature provides, what the sun provides, what the animals provide. And she works in a totally different way. And then there's this beautiful being called Vladimir Megre. I hope I got your name right, and if I didn't, forgive me. But he is writing a series of books about this beautiful being, how he's going through his own conscious shifts, how he is starting to realize that basically what's really happening here, folks, and as to use Anastasia's words, we have forgotten how to be human.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Let me repeat that one. We have forgotten how to be human. And when you read her books and you realize the power, the energy, the beauty, the joy, life, light, everything's in there, and we've forgotten through all of the years that we've been through all of these changes, going through the financial gain and you know, needing more and needing more. Well, we lost track. We have lost track.
Yes.
Humanity lost track.
Yes.
And Anastasia is, through her words, through her experiences, is showing the world through Vladimir how it can be different again. And my goodness, you can do a search on YouTube and you'll find some really, really beautiful films about, what do they call these places? Eco-farms?
Eco-farms, yes.
Eco-farms. And if you look how these people are working with these fruits and veg and are actually tapping into their own energy, to their own needs, and they're working with the plants and the vegetables. Actually, if I remember rightly, there's one particular video how a couple, a young couple,
Yes,
decided to plant cucumbers. Now, for instance, the young lady, she had a particular requirement. She planted the seed after having it in her mouth, her DNA, for a while. The seed takes on the DNA, the requirements, and that cucumber grew in the way she needed for her sustenance, for her repairing her health, returning to health.
it was a ball. I believe it was only one cucumber. And the boy had a lot of cucumbers.
Oh boy. Well, that kind of says a lot, doesn't it? We fellas have a lot more to repair than you girls, huh?
Yes, but what it shows is that the plant, the seed, know exactly how much you need from certain food or vegetables.
Yeah, and we were kind of being a little bit funny there, weren't we? Because I would bet if, for instance, they were to maybe plant some strawberries and the seeds they put in the mouth, maybe she'd get a really big strawberry and he'd get the really little ones.
Yes.
So it's going to differ between the plants
But
and the foods.
Anastasia showed us that Mother Nature, the stars, the light, knows exactly what we need, but why it's so hidden from TV, from YouTube. Why? Because the mass is afraid.
The masses are afraid. Well, actually, sweetie, it's not really the
Industry,
masses.
the industry.
Yeah, it's these great big corporations. Because they know darn fine well. Why is it not coming on CNN and all of those great big news programs, BBC News? You never see it on there. Or maybe a tiny little flash now and again.
Health magazines.
Health magazines, we're not really seeing it in there either, are we yet? Why? Because all of these massive industries know darn fine well, the pharmaceutical industry. Just imagine if you could get out of your food exactly what you need to bring you back to full health. All of these doctors,
we don't need it.
all of these drugs, they're all just going to disappear. They're going to be out of work. That massive financial industry is done with. And they're, of course, all worried about their jobs, and well, in a way, rightly so. But it's a matter of choices. It's a matter of wanting to change. It's a matter of wanting to be able to. For instance, we know from visiting hospitals. We've gone into the hospitals and we've had a talk with specialists. My goodness, they are some of the grumpiest people on the darn planet. They're not happy with their work. And they act as if they were gods, as if they know everything as well, while they don't. If they were able to make a different choice, and I use the example as a doctor at this moment in time, and I don't want to pick on you guys as doctors or medical specialists, but there is a different way. And you don't have to be unhappy in your work. Going in to work every day, treating people that are always ill and always sick, that's going to have an effect on you. It can't make you pretty happy. Well, maybe it does if you're able to heal these people all of the time and you can come up with results. But there is another way. And this is what's really coming into our planet right now.
It starts a few years ago, and now by the books of Anastasia, everybody can read it. Can do his own research. There's not a lot of information.
Well,
but it is.
I don't know, sweetie. there is more and more information coming out, and especially because Russia's been doing this now, well, since the last century. Since Anastasia and Vladimir started with those books, people have started to notice, the governments in Russia are starting to notice, there are these eco-farms being set up, there are these people building a home and building an area that they can create their own sustenance, their own beauty around them with the animals, the plants, everything. And these people are living a beautiful, happy life. They're totally content in that what's being provided to them through our beautiful Mother Earth. Now, maybe that sounds to you like a fantasy tale or a fairy tale or a story. Well, wake up, because it's not anymore.
No.
You can do your research. You don't need to listen to us. Do your research, read those books, and experiment with it yourself, because we're coming out with a new program pretty soon that is going to prove this for you, and we'll give you ways so that you can prove it to yourself. Because we're starting to.
The only thing you have to do is to choose for love.
To choose for love. Exactly. To choose for love. Choose for life. Live life.
Yeah.
You had a statement. It was a statement in Dutch, and so I can't really quickly translate it. But it was: Are you allowing life to lead you? Or are you living life because life dictates life?
No, this was something, if you flee for life, life will flee for you.
Or from you. Or, no, say that again, try that again. If you flee from life, life will flee from you. Now, I think that's an absolutely excellent way to end this video. If you flee from life in all of its magical facets, then life will flee from you. It will be unreachable.
Yes.
I know what you want from your heart. We know what you would like from your heart. Abundance in all of its magical forms, and to remember how to be human. There's so much more really coming into this earth now. Our skills are expanding in massive ways. Our lifestyle is changing in massive ways. So, dear friends, this too is a part of our soul agreements. Wake up. Start to do your research. Start to feel what you want. What would make you happy.
Because that's the most important part of it.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.